Hello, I'm Pastor Wrong, and I want to talk to all the atheists about proof, evidence, really evidence, because they want this empirical proof that they can put into a Dixie cup in an experimental lab and conjure up all these scientific formulas to prove something. And I say it's not always that way. Whether in a scientific lab or in a criminal court, evidence can show things that don't necessarily prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, but maybe beyond a preponderance of the evidence. Empirical evidence is what they want, not just proof, not just evidence. For instance, can you prove that your mommy and daddy love you? I doubt you can prove it, at least not scientifically. You can say, well, look at the evidence. They kiss me, they give me things, so that proves it. That's evidence. Well, that is kind of right, even though I kind of doubt they love you because you're a squirrel. Anyway, I want you to prove it. Prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it. You can't really prove it, at least not the way you're asking for about a God. Can you even prove your dog or your girlfriend loves you? You can't prove it. You can't even really prove that you're alive, that you're here. You say, well,
I think, therefore I am.
well, that isn't necessarily proof. How do you know it's not just a wet dream? How do you know you're not just having some imaginary visions and we're all figments of your imagination? Like me, I'm a figment of your imagination. I'm not really here. The guy next to you is not really here. You're not really here. Prove it. Show me some empirical evidence of it. You'll have to look up of little bits of evidence, but it's not good enough for me because I don't believe you exist. I think you're a figment of my imagination. Okay, how about as far as God is concerned? There is plenty of evidence if you'll just go look. You say, well, it's not good enough. It's not great evidence. It's not scientific evidence. Well, that's not what we're talking about, especially when you're talking about personal encounters or the spiritual realm or things of God. You can't always do that. There's eyewitness evidence written. There's eyewitness evidence today of people that have encountered and have all kinds of relationships with Him. And we do use that in court of law. If somebody comes in and says, I saw something, well, we can't prove that he did or didn't, but we can take his testimony. Well, that is evidence. Whether you like it or not, it may not be good enough for you, but it still is evidence. How about the written testimony from historical accounts that talk about the encounters, that talk about the things he's done? It is evidence. It may not be good enough for you, but it is evidence. Jesus himself was proof. Jesus talked about God. He did claim to be God. He never said, I am God in those verbatim words, but he did say, I am the I am. Before Abraham was, I am. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father, and many other such things that show he thought he was God. He claimed to be God. People believed he was God, even if you don't. That is evidence. It may not be good enough for you, but it is a bit of evidence. How about the Bible itself? I mean, all the Bibles, if you want to claim the Quran, if you want to claim the Torah, if you want to claim the Bhagavad Gita, even, I mean, any of those things are somewhat evidence. They may not be good enough evidence, but they are evidence. The design, whether you want to talk about the universe, this world, your body, these designs show evidence of something creating them. I mean, you're always talking about scientific proof, scientific proof. Show me scientific proof that anything can come out of nothing, that it just bang, just pops out of nothing. There is no scientific proof for this. Even my little head realizes there's nothing that can prove it, and yet we have to have it in our scientific world. And the only way we know of it can happen is magic or a god, because science doesn't get us there. Show me in science where a rock can become living, even with millions or billions or trillions of years. Rocks do not become living, yet we have to have it in our scientific world. Where's the evidence? Maybe there's a little bit of evidence here, a little bit of evidence there, and it adds up to a proof in your mind. We'll use the same thing for God. I mean, you believe that human beings came from frogs, right? Or from some kind of a weird, I mean, that's a fairy tale. That's a fairy tale. If you kiss a frog, it doesn't become a prince. And I don't care if you give it a billion, million, trillion years, it's still a fairy tale. And you don't have any scientific proof. You say, well, there's a lot of evidence. There's evolutionary evidence. There's microevolution and macroevolution. Well, you show me all the evidence and let's add it up. Because I'm telling you, if you'll look around, there's actually a lot of evidence for a God, for a supernatural being more intelligent than you. I mean, even my egghead is more intelligent than you because there's evidence. Look up the definition of evidence. Look up the definition of proof. It may not be beyond a shadow of a doubt, but it's beyond a preponderance of the evidence. There is plenty more. I'm just giving a few in a little 3-minute sound bite. So quit saying there's no evidence. You sound kind of stupid and you're wrong. See, I'm Pastor Wrong, and I'm right.